Hey guys, in today's video, we are going to be learning how to make this beautiful halter neck design of a top that has a dart manipulation effect at the front part of it. If that's what you want to learn how to watch, then keep watching this video to the very end. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel. Let's head straight to it. So you'll be needing your basic bodice front in full. You can decide to use half of it, but I decided to go in full so the whole explanation will be clearer. So I folded it into half, and mind you, my neckline is in the basic. You can decide to remove half an inch from your shoulder and the depth from the basic neckline already, but then I left mine at the basic. Now from the shoulder, I will go in by 2 inches. I've marked it, and from the depth, I also go ahead and go in by 2 inches. So now I am going to be joining those two lines together. And I haven't done that, I'll go ahead and use my marker to join it together like so. So this is what the very first neckline is going to look like. Now on this very neckline, I'm going to be marking 3 inches like so. I use my pen to make the point where the 3 inches line stops. And from that 3 inches line, I'll be using my ruler to connect it to my armhole like so. I'll also use my marker to make this line visible so you guys can see it. So this is what this is looking like at this point. So because we are going to be having a cutout, looking at the picture on top of the screen, we are going to be having a cutout. The whole of that area is going to be out. So we need to contour it so it does not gap. And the right contour to use here is the shoulder contour and the armhole contour. Because technically this looks like a tube. Okay, so the whole of the armhole is out. We're going to be contouring the armhole and the shoulder so it does not gap. I went ahead to mark in my bust arc just a little so that I can impute my dart excess, or I can impute my dart width there. And having done that, I'm going ahead now to connect back to the shoulder and back to the bust point like so. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do well to subscribe. Click the bell notification icon so you'll be the very first person to know when I post lovely pattern drafting tutorials like this. And also we'll go ahead to contour the armhole. You just want to go in from anywhere around the lower part of your armhole. And here I decided to use 3 inches, but anywhere around the lower part of your armhole. So I'll be ruling this line straight to my bust point. And then I'll go ahead to measure 0.25. Your width for the contour guideline should be between 0.25 to 0.5. So I here used 0.25 and I connected it back to the bust point like so. Now these are what the contour guideline darts are looking like. I used my marker to mark in dotted lines in between them so you guys will see clearly that these are the contour guideline darts. So yeah, this is it right now. The next thing we are going to do, of course, is to impute our star line where we'll be manipulating the dart for those two pleated effects in the front. So I marked 1.5 inches and 1 inch, 1.5 inches and 1 inch. You can decide to use 1 inch and 2 inches, whatever is okay for you. Just make sure you get the pattern drafting, the pattern manipulation right, which we're also going to be doing right now. So I connected both lines to the bust point like so. I'm just going through it. These are my contour that, and the other line is for my style line for that manipulation. So you go ahead to make sure that you trace this out to the other part. You can use your tracing wheel or the old method of tracing it out. So now we're going to be cutting out. And we have this very one and this right here. Okay, but then we're not done because we have to close up these darts, manipulate them to get those pleats in front, and that's what we're doing right now. So I'm starting from one side first, and I'm going ahead to cut open my side bust dart. And then I cut open the armhole contour guideline and closed it. Then I'll go ahead and use my tape to close it. Remember, the excess of this armhole contour guideline was transferred to the bust side bust dart, which I already opened. And so I opened one of the style lines and I closed the side bust dart, meaning I've transferred the excess to one of the style lines. I hope you guys understand. I transferred the excess to one of the style lines. Remember, one of the style lines is still there. We haven't slashed it open. So I'm going to be opening my waist dart right now. Then I'll go ahead to open up my shoulder contour dart and then transfer the excess to my waist dart, which I already opened. So I'm going ahead now to close up my waist dart, transferring the dart excess to the style line which we already cut open. Now I'm going to be cutting the second style line open. Do not worry, you see the excess or the importance of that very tiny whatever in front. I added a fresh pattern paper underneath. Now there is something. This amount of excess we have is not enough for me, so I need more excess. Now I had to extend the style line so that I can have more excess to pleat with, right? Having extended the style line, I opened up my pattern the more. It gave me room to open up the pattern the more. So I opened up the pattern the more and I taped it down. Now that very tiny piece in front, it's ripped, but do not worry, I'll place it back. So I placed it at this very point where I knew it was the point that I took it out from. And I'll go ahead and use my tape and hold it down, like so. I'm going to be measuring the distance between the very first opening and that very tiny piece in front. And I have 1.5 inches. So I'm going to also be making 1.5 inches for this one. Then I went ahead to check it. It was in line with 1.5 inches. I used my tape to hold it down. Now, if you did not understand clearly what I did here, I'm going to repeat this process at the other side. Here is me closing up every opening because you don't want anything to rip off again. So if you do not understand what I did here, I'm going to be doing the same thing on the other side. So just keep watching. I'm going to be explaining more, or yeah, you definitely understand when we get to this side. So now I'm going to be opening my side bust dart. And I'm going ahead to cut my waist dart like so, and I'll close it up. There are so many methods to do this, so you can choose whichever one you prefer. I'm going ahead to close it up like so. Do not say what I did here is different from here. They are both the same thing. So you can decide on which method you want to use. Now I've closed the waist dart and transferred the excess to the side bust dart. The next thing I'm going to do now is to open up my armhole contour dart. Then I'll close it and transfer the excess to my side bust dart also. Then I'm going to also open up my shoulder contour dart and also transfer the excess to my side bust dart. Now, if you close this up, you find that you're going to be having something that is bumpy. That is where the breast area should fit in. Now we are going to be extending our style line all the way down. Reason because we need more fullness. That fullness at the side bust, if you transfer it, it will not be enough for us to create these pleats. So we need more fullness. That is why we are extending it all the way down. So we can spread it out the more. I'm going ahead to close this up now. So I'll use my tape and hold it down. I'll go ahead and continue the style line, okay? And also the second one. So now can you see we have more room to spread it out and have more fullness as much as we want. That was why we extended the style line all the way to the side. I'm going to be spreading this out on a fresh pattern paper like so. I also go ahead to be checking my 1.5 inches like we used for the other side. And of course this ripped again, I guess because it was so tiny or while I was manipulating or doing whatever. But not to worry, we're going to put it in shape. Remember I've marked the 1.5 inches from this side. So I'll be making sure that that very part would be on the 1.5 inches, which was same thing we did for the other side. I'm using my tape to hold down everything so it's in place. Now I'm also going ahead here to mark 1.5 inches also, and I'll be bringing that part closer to meet the 1.5 inches. So I've gone ahead to tape it down like so. And then now before you cut out, you should fold this in. If you cut this out without folding it this way, you will cut out probably where you're not supposed to cut. So you have to fold this like so before you cut out the excess paper. Okay, you have to fold this like so, like the way you want it to be after you're done sewing it, before you can cut out the excess paper. So that is what we're doing right now. We are technically returning it back to basic, back to the way it was before we manipulated the dart. So we are returning it back to the way it was before we manipulated the dart. There are going to be few changes, just a very little, simply because we have added more things that were not there at the initial. Okay, so the reason why we're bringing it back to original is so that those few changes, we can correct them if need be. Those few changes that we'll notice, we can correct them if need be. So now you want to look out for the changes, and at the neckline, as you can see, one side is already higher than the other side. So we're going to be correcting that right now. Look at what I'm doing from the tip of this part, please, all the way to the neckline, like so. So we're just cutting off that very little part. So this is what we're having right now. So this is what it looks like. And of course, when you get the rounded part of it, the neckline area, and just attach it. So do not click out. We are going to be drafting the back. Please do not click out. We are going to be drafting the back right away. This is the back pattern, and it's so simple. The back is very simple. We're going to be marking 2 inches at the shoulder, which was same thing we did for the front. And the depth also, we're going to be marking 2 inches. So I'm going to be connecting this 2 inches mark at the shoulder and at the depth of the neckline together like so. Using my marker to make it visible so you guys can see it clearly enough. And for my neckline, I'll go ahead and mark 2.5 inches. Then go ahead and connect it to my armhole like so. And this is what it looks like right now. So now we're going ahead to cut, cut, cut. And the only thing you're doing for the back is just to cut the dart out. So when you're tracing the pattern on your fabric, you have to trace out, you have to use your chalk to mark the dart, and you will just sew it up. Okay, you're just going to sew up the darts for the back. So this is what the back pattern should look like. And I'll show you how to stitch it up right away. I'm going to be showing you how to join the back and the front together right away. Okay. You want to join the shoulders first. We're going to be doing that now, please. So basically, I'm just putting the two patterns together, the back and the front, so you guys can see what it looks like. I already cut the front open. So this is the front pattern and this is the back pattern. Okay, so these are what it looks like. Then we'll head straight to joining them together, which is actually very simple. Okay, the joining together is very simple. You want to put this back like what we did previously before we cut out the excesses. So you're going to be stitching those parts on your sewing machine, and then you go ahead to also stitch this part onto it like so on your sewing machine. Now for the back, you sew up your darts, which I explained earlier. You sew up your dart, which I explained earlier, and also you go ahead to sew up the neckline to the back part of it like so. So now what you're going to be doing is to join the shoulder of the back and the shoulder of the front together, and also you go ahead to join the sides together after you've joined the shoulder together, and that will be all you need for this tutorial to make this beautiful top. You can add a gown to it or a skirt to it. See you in the next one. Bye.